What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into another preview and prediction special. Today, we're going to be looking and filling out a second chance bracket, which will give us an opportunity to look at the upcoming Sweet 16 games, as well as make our picks all the way to the Final Four and make our national championship selection. So let's go ahead and waste no time. Let's get into the South region, where we have our first game between number one overall seed in this NCAA tournament in Auburn, facing off against number 5 seed Michigan. Now, Auburn has taken care of business in the first two rounds of this tournament, beating Alabama State, who was the 16 seed. And then in the second round, they took down Creighton. And now they're going to be facing off against the number 5 seed of Michigan, who took down UC San Diego, one of the best games of this tournament so far. And Michigan ended up coming back to a big victory over Texas A&M. So I'm going to stick with my picks, though. I am going to go with Auburn in my actual bracket. I did have Auburn going to the Elite Eight. I had Texas A&M. Moving all the way to the Sweet 16, though, it was Michigan. This Michigan team has definitely caught fire, especially at the end of the season, winning the Big Ten Conference tournament and then winning the first two games. So this is going to be a great matchup, Janine Broome and the two bigs that Michigan handles. But I am going to go with Auburn moving on there to the Elite Eight. Then we have our next matchup featuring number 6 seed Ole Miss and number 2 seed Michigan State. Ole Miss definitely had a phenomenal run in this tournament. They just put up 91 points against Iowa State. And then in the first round, they took down North Carolina, a team that I had going pretty far. But ultimately, Ole Miss and Sean Padula has been playing well in this tournament. The number 2 seed, they're going to be facing off against Michigan State. They took care of business against Bryant and then took down New Mexico. And that game was pretty close throughout that whole entire game. So this is going to be a great matchup. The way that Ole Miss has been playing, I think that a lot of people in this second chance bracket will be going with Ole Miss. But I'm going to be sticking to my guns here and go with Michigan State. I think that Tom Izzo will get back to the Elite Eight once more, which sets up a number 1 versus number 2 matchup here in the South. In the Elite Eight, we have Auburn and number 2 seed Michigan State. I will be going with Michigan State, the Spartans, and Tom Izzo to go back to the Final Four. So that's the South. Now let's move on to the East. We have number 1 seed Duke and number 4 seed Arizona. So pretty much all chalk in the East except for number 6 seed BYU. So pretty much the same setup as the South, with Arizona being the 4 seed and Michigan being the 5 seed. But Duke really is taking care of business. They destroyed Mount St. Mary's in the first round and then took down Baylor as well. So this has been a team that's been throughout the season, been beating pretty much everybody. And then number 4 seed Arizona, they took down Akron in a rout in the first round. The 13 seeds did not fare well against the 4 seeds in this tournament. It's pretty much just been no major upsets outside of McNeese beating Clemson. And then Arizona took down Oregon in what was a fantastic second round game. So Caleb Love gets to play Duke once again, and I'm going to be picking the Blue Devils. This Blue Devils team just looks pretty much unbeatable at this rate of the tournament. Play in the second half, and we see Duke moving on. So that's another number 1 seed we have moving on to the Elite Eight. Then, which sets up a great matchup. I'm definitely looking forward to watching this one on Thursday night, which features number 6 BYU and number 2 seed Alabama. Alabama did have some troubles in their first round game against Robert Morris. Obviously, in the second round against St. Mary's, they really had no troubles against the Gales. BYU has definitely had some high-scoring affairs in these first 2 games. So this is going to probably be like a first to 90, maybe even a first to 100, the way that these two offenses get after it. I really like this BYU team. I could definitely see them pulling off the upset, but I am going to go and tie there. So rolling with the chalk with 1s and 2s so far in this second chance bracket. So that takes us to number 1 seed Duke facing off against number 2 seed Alabama. Definitely going to be another great offensive showdown between the Blue Devils and the Crimson Tide. But I'm going to go with Duke. I just can't really see a reality where we don't see Duke in the Final Four. So that's the East and the South. Now let's move on to the West, which features the only double-digit seed in the Sweet 16. So we have number 1 seed Florida and number 4 seed Maryland. Florida cruised to a victory in round number 1 over Norfolk State. And then UConn, the back-to-back defending national champs, give them one heck of a game. But Florida was able to survive after some big shots by Walter Clayton Jr. And then Maryland, this has been a team that just survived against a very hot number 12 seed Colorado State. They had a buzzer beater by Derek Queen. So the Crab 5 advances on to the Sweet 16. This is going to be an exciting matchup. I think this one's going to be another close one, but I am going to rock with another number 1 seed. I think that we're just going to have after the Sweet 16. I would be shocked if not all 1 seeds win this one. But I'm going to go with Florida, though. Maryland, I would not be surprised if they do win this one. But I am going to go with the Gators, one of the best offensive teams in the country. Then we have number 3 seed Texas Tech and number 10 seed Arkansas. Arkansas has definitely been one of the story of the tournament. They ended up beating Kansas in the first round, then took down St. John's, which was one of the few upsets in this tournament. Texas Tech, this has been a team that I've had my eye on all throughout the Big 12 and throughout this tournament. They really had no problem in their first 2 games, took down Drake in the second round, then took down UNC Wilmington. I did have Texas Tech in Florida, but let's go ahead and switch it up. I'm going to go with John Calipari's squad to move on to the Elite 8. In my other bracket, I do have Texas Tech in Florida, but I kind of want to switch things up here in this second chance bracket. So give me the 10 seed Arkansas. I think that their Cinderella story moves on. If you look at the line here in this preview, I believe the last time that I looked at it, Texas Tech was a 5.5. I can't really look at it, but believe that they were a 5.5. Favorites. So we have an SEC matchup here in the Elite 8. Number 1 seed Florida and number 10 seed Arkansas would be a great game. But I am going to go with the Florida Gators. I picked them to win the national championship. In my other bracket, I really haven't seen much that really changes my mind that Florida can't win the national championship this season. So the West region. Now let's move on to the Midwest, where we have 2 great matchups here. All chalk in the Midwest. Number 1 seed Houston and number 4 seed Purdue. Houston beat the doors off of SIU Edwardsville in the first round. Then had a great matchup against Gonzaga. Saw a lot of people were picking Gonzaga to pull this upset over Houston. It almost happened, but Houston was able to survive. Purdue, they beat High Point, and then they beat McNeese. So they beat 2 double-digit seeds. Braden Smith has been playing fantastic in this tournament, but I just feel like Houston's going to be a little bit too much, though. This game is in Indianapolis, so Purdue – and it's probably going to have a home court advantage there. It's been playing in Lucas Oil Stadium, which is definitely an odd site there for a college basketball game. But I just think that Houston's going to be too much. Their defense is going to be too much for Purdue to handle. So give me another 1 seed to advance there. And now we have an SEC matchup, number 3 seed Kentucky and number 2 seed Tennessee. Kentucky has really been playing well in this tournament. They beat Illinois and Troy so far. Tennessee has really had no troubles in their first 2 games, especially against UCLA in the second round. So this sets up a third matchup between these 2 teams. Kentucky won the first 2 games in the regular season. So can the Wildcats do it for a third time? I just don't really see it. I know that this Kentucky team presents problems and challenges to Tennessee, but I think that it's very difficult to beat a team 3 times in one season. It has happened before, but I am going to go with Tennessee, so give me the Volunteers there. So we have another 1-2 matchup here with Houston and Tennessee. Take the under in this game, both great and talented defenses. And I am going to go with another SEC team punching their ticket to the Final Four and give me the Tennessee Volunteers making it to the Final Four for the first time in program history. So we have two seeds and 2 1 seeds with number 2 seed Michigan State and number 1 seed Florida. So in this first matchup, I will be going with Florida, moving on to the national championship, where they'll be taking on the winner of Duke in Tennessee. And give me Duke to beat Tennessee in that one. So we have pretty much a national championship that everybody in the nation has at this point is Florida and Duke. And I picked Florida in my other one for this second chance bracket. I will switch this up. I will be going with the Duke Blue Devils winning the national championship. So we have the Duke Blue Devils from the ACC cutting down the nets in our second chance bracket. So let me know who you have in your second chance Final Four, who you have advancing on to the Sweet 16, ultimately making it to San Antonio. Let me know down your picks in the comments and who you have winning the national championship. So I appreciate everybody for tuning into today's video. Enjoy the rest of the March Madness tournament, and we will see you back here next time. So long for now.